السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Jazakallah for joining again today. We are on day 4 of our Tarbiyyat Ashra, and inshallah today, because we study the Holy Quran on Mondays and Tuesdays, therefore I will just speak a little bit about the Holy Quran and 2 commandments in particular of what we need to remember. So in today's lesson, we will learn why we seek refuge in Allah before starting to read the Holy Quran, why we read A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem, and secondly, why we must remain silent when listening to the Holy Quran. So these are 2 things which we will look at today. So firstly, on seeking protection before reading the Holy Quran. Allah the Almighty says in the Holy Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. And the translation is, and when thou recitest the Quran, seek refuge with Allah from Satan the rejected, or Satan the accursed. And so this is really the main reason. Of course, the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ would also read Dawz, which is seeking protection with Allah from Satan. And so this is directly in the Holy Quran. So we must always remember this. And the reason which you can understand further is from reading the tafsir, or the commentary of the Holy Quran on this verse. And it's written that the reason why Muslims are bidden to seek protection from God against Satan while beginning to recite the Holy Quran is that it is the most precious treasure. It's like the most precious thing which you can ever have, which Allah can ever give to anyone. And that was the Holy Quran, a direct word of Allah the Almighty. And this treasure should be protected from Satan, who tries to keep all of us away from it. Hence the necessity of seeking God's protection against Satan while beginning the recitation of the Holy Quran, lest worldly gains and material comforts should make men oblivious of their great spiritual objectives. And so basically, when we start to read the Holy Quran, we must block everything out. We must put our full attention into reading the Holy Quran, and that is something which is so important, and that's why we read Dawuz before saying Bismillah. Before we start saying in the name of Allah, we first must be protected from the evil whisperings and evil thoughts that come into our mind of not reading it and staying away from it. So that's the first step, and something which we should always remember, that the Holy Quran is a treasure from Allah the Almighty, and Satan will always come to believers when they start to do something good. And the Quran is the one of the best acts we can do, because we're reading the word of Allah the Almighty. So remember to seek protection from Allah, from Satan, with Allah the Almighty, and then begin to read the Holy Quran. Secondly, so this is why we read A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem. I seek refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed. So this is why we read this. So this is the first point. And then the second point is remaining silent when listening to the recitation. So when anyone is reading the Holy Quran in your home, or in the mosque, or anywhere where you are, this is another instruction from the Holy Quran of remaining silent. So people should remain silent, and there shouldn't be any noise other than the word of Allah being recited. And in the Holy Quran it says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون. And when the Quran is recited, give ear to it and keep silence, that you may be shown mercy. So sometimes when we're reading the Quran, people make noise around you, and this is something which is completely wrong, because when the word of Allah is being recited, there is no better word than it. There is no better um, speech than the word of Allah. And so when anyone is talking while someone is reading the Holy Quran, it gives dishonor to the word of Allah. And so this is why it's so important as we're talking about Tarbiyyat. Anyone who is reading the Quran, other members should be reminded that to remain silent and to give word. And if you are unable to remain silent, either the one who is reading the Holy Quran should leave that room and read in a quiet place, or the members should leave the room and speak somewhere else. That's why when you are reading the Quran, read with wisdom, read with understanding, because you can't go to a room where the TV is on, where people are talking. So you can't go and disturb them, even though you're doing something good. You can't go and disturb them purposely by reading the Quran and telling them to be quiet. And vice versa, if someone is reading the Quran in a room, people shouldn't come inside the room and start talking and playing and gossiping. So both sides must act with wisdom and act upon the instructions of the Holy Quran, of firstly seeking protection from Satan with Allah the Almighty, and secondly, remaining quiet while the Quran is being recited. And so these are the 2 points which I wanted to cover today. So what did we learn? We learned that the Holy Quran is the most precious treasure given by Allah the Almighty, and Satan will try to keep you away from it. So we need to pray to Allah to protect us from Satan. And if you don't have the habit of reading the Holy Quran, it means that Shaitan has beaten you, has won the battle over you, because he has got the victory of stopping you from reading the Holy Quran. And so we must try to overcome that. We must try to defeat those evil thoughts or those evil habits of forsaking the Holy Quran. And we must try to win every single day that battle of stopping Satan from stopping us from picking up the Holy Quran and reading it out loud. And the more we read out loud, the further away we'll push the Satan, away from us. So these are points. And also we must remain silent when hearing or listening to the Holy Quran. And this is a commandment from Allah, and we have expounded on this, as there's no better word than Allah's during the recitation of the Holy Quran. So Jazakallah for listening again today, as we study the Holy Quran on Mondays and Tuesdays. So this is just to further understand and further love and further make a relationship with the Holy Quran. So Jazakumullah and Jazak for watching. Inshallah, we'll continue these lessons in the number of days that we have left in the 10 days of our Tarbiyyat Ashra. Jazakumullah khairan. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim. Innaka Hamidum Majid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.